point is good, framed by George.
That's up and in. Spectacular finish, jump stop. And the hook with the floater. Oh, that was sensational.
Welcome to the EIBC Soundboard Podcast. I am your host, Alonze Soma, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Randy Rosenbloom, famous international sport broadcaster from North Hollywood. Welcome, Randy, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, Alonze, it's a pleasure. And whenever we talk about the EIBC, it puts me in a really good mood. We had a fabulous first year broadcasting the games last season. It was a lot of fun, and we expect to have a lot of great moments again this year. It should be a spectacular year, and I'm thrilled again to be part of it.
I'm so excited to have this with you.
Well, thank you. Let's go for it. Let's have some fun today.
So, what is it like to cover the league in Denver, Colorado?
Well, that's where it started last year in Denver, Colorado. And it was really an introduction point for me and other broadcasters because we hadn't seen the players and the team. So when you study them is one thing, but to witness how good they are on the court is another. And that was our first indication on how good Josiah Sanders, the young man from Colorado Prep, would be. Now, he would go on to be the offensive player of the year in the EIBC. Josiah's like 6'5", muscular, can play inside, can play outside. And I think he's going to have a chance to start as a Colorado Buffalo this year. But last season at Colorado Prep, he was miraculous. And his ability to score with either hand around the basket, you would think he's taking bad shots, but they'd always seem to go in. And he could expand his game, too, because he could go outside. So when I think of Denver, Colorado, I think of Josiah Sanders. He was on the host team. Colorado Prep hosted it. The facility was great. They had a place to go eat after each game, and it was right upstairs. Great food, just a great location to have the tournament. And it was a terrific kickoff for the EIBC last season.
Would you say he made a really big difference in the EIBC league?
Oh, yeah. I think Josiah made a real impact on the game. Not just scoring, but he was able to lead his team deep into the EIBC tournament. They didn't win the championship, but they were a threat. And the impact also was the style they played. Because of him, they play up and down. Most of their games were like 90 to 80 or 85, 78. They were really exciting games. So it was always fun when we had a Colorado Prep game. They might have been the most fun team to cover because of the style and getting up and down the court and how many points they scored, win or lose. They were still a lot of fun.
Wow. So with all these amazing games and matches and really competitive players, what made you think was the very key moment to making this happen?
Well, I think the championships, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, we had a magnificent championship game. CIA is a team out of Arizona that went undefeated during the regular season, and they won through the playoffs undefeated until they got to the championship game. So they were trying to get through the whole campaign perfect. And then they run into a buzzsaw in this Oak Cliff school out of Texas, out of the Dallas area. And we had a magnificent finish. It came down to, they have target scoring in the EIBC. So you set a target score after the clock finishes, they add the 7-point total, and that's the target score. So there was a time there in that last session where both teams, Oak Cliff and CIA, had a chance to win the game. And if a shot was made by CIA, they would have won the championship. But it was Oak Cliff that got the winning shot. It was a three-pointer by Lamont Hartfield. And that was the difference, and Oak Cliff ended up being the champion. But what's remarkable about this game is Oak Cliff trailed most of the game. Never a great margin, but they had to battle back and hang tight. And all along, you thought that CIA was going to win the championship, run the table, finish undefeated. But that didn't happen because of Hartfield's great shot and the work of his teammates who kept them in the game. It was really a terrific game. King Grace is another great player that played for Oak Cliff. Nobody ran the floor better than he did, about a 6'5" forward. I think he's going to end up at Mississippi State. He's up and down the floor. CIA also had this young man, Mo Silla, big kid, 6'9", the defensive player in the league in the EIBC. So they were fun to watch, but that winning shot by Lamont at the end of the game was unbelievable. And you always want to have your final game be the best game. You
Yeah,
never
for sure.
know what's going to happen in the last game. You want the Super Bowl to be the best game, but it's not always the best game. Well, you want your championship game to be the best game, and we got that. And it was a
Yes.
nail biter, and Oak Cliff able to win the title.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So let's move on to Las Vegas. So what was the most memorable game you had in Las Vegas stop? Or like what players did you think stood out for you for that during that time?
Well, Las Vegas is the first time I saw Mo Silla play. Now, I wasn't announcing the game. We rotated announcers. And
Wow,
it was
okay.
there where I was able to see him explode defensively. And don't get me wrong, Mo can score. He's 6'9", 6'10". He can do a
Yeah.
lot. But he was blocking shots and running the floor. I was watching the game because I thought I might have him in other games down the road, which I did. So it was an opportunity to kind of scout him. But that's where I saw Mo Silla for the first time, and I thought he was tremendous. Later on, I had my first game with him, and he expanded his game and was hitting outside shots in the game I did later in the EIBC schedule. But in Las Vegas, that's the first time I saw him play. And we had competitive games in Las Vegas. That's the other thing that stood out. We didn't have routs or blowouts. They were
Yeah.
really competitive games, and you could see the balance of the entire EIBC teams at that location.
Wow, that is really nice to hear. I mean, honestly, it sounds like a really rough game over there, and it seems like Las Vegas really has a competitive side over there, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. And it was a great location. We had the tournament at a high school. It was a lot of fun. Fans enjoyed it.
Wow.
It was a really good tournament. Like I said, it was a competitive tournament, and that's what made it so fun to do. You want close games, and we got close games. And again, we're still learning the teams. It was only our second tournament. We did the one in Denver, and then we're doing the one in Las Vegas. But the competitiveness of that tourney was really good.
Wow, that is so nice to hear. So let's talk about your last season that you had in EIBC. Like, what was like the best moment for you last season that you probably will hold on forever?
Yeah, again, going back, it's that championship game.
The championship?
Yeah. When Lamont Hartfield hit the jump shot, it was the best moment. The interesting aspect to it, they're out there celebrating, and their coach, Brandon Thomas, comes out to celebrate with his team for Oak Cliff, and he hurts himself. He tore up his leg, jumping for joy, had to be helped a lot. We were down with our telecast for like 20 minutes. He was injured. So I know they probably, I believe it was a knee. I'm sure it was operated on. So he had this golden moment for the coach where they win the EIBC championship, and in his celebration has this very painful injury. So it was unique in that you had joy and pain at the same time. That was very strange to witness. And it was kind of like a hush in the building in Phoenix because of that. But again, I'm sure he would gladly have the injury knowing he had the championship, even though he probably had a long recovery.
That sounds really nice. Really nice. So what was the Iowa stop like for the highlights and likewise everything else?
Well, Iowa United was the host, and I didn't know much about them. They had this young man, Diani, big 6'11" player, looks like Shaquille O'Neal. And he didn't play early in the tournaments, but he did play at his home site. And he's being recruited by all the Big Ten schools. Again, he's a big fella. Again, he looks like Shaquille O'Neal, plays like him, dominant player. But also Iowa United had some good players. It was a deep team. And that's the first time I saw Iowa United up close and personal and watched them and called some of their games and understood the depth of the squad, not just Diani. They had a really good team. Now, they didn't go on to win the championship. They faltered late. But Diani was spectacular. The site was good. The weather, not so much. It was cold and snowy. But I will say this, of all the people we ran into and saw on our journeys in the EIBC, the people in Iowa are unbelievably nice. They're cordial, friendly, accommodating at the tournament site. The basketball was good, but for me, the memory is the weather, how cold it was, how good Gianni was on the court, and how nice the people were in Iowa.
Wow, that is really nice and really inspiring to hear about your stories and your personal thing, not just about basketball itself, but the community and the environment. That really holds a really strong place in other people's hearts.
That being said, I'd still rather be in Southern California, probably 75 or 80 degrees today, and not in the inclement weather of Iowa. But that is Iowa. We had a lot of snow. It was normally about the 3 or 4 days we were there, it was like 15 degrees in the day. And I don't want to mention how cold it was at night.
Yeah.
It was frigid. I'll take SoCal's weather.
I get what you mean. If you were to tell someone about the EIBC League, what was the first thing you would ever tell them about?
Great learning experience for the players and a great opportunity to play good competition game in and game out and travel and play a lot of games. I mean, basketball, depending on where you play, can be grueling because it's not like football and you're playing once a week. You could be playing 2-3 games a week. And in the EIBC, you're playing challenging teams. You're not getting a cupcake, an easy game. Like I said, most of the games are really competitive. You're playing players that are probably as good as you. So as an individual, you're really challenged. So I think that's the underlying fact there. That's what I would tell them about the league, that it was competitive. The talent was strong. We had D1 talent, D2 talent. So there's college players playing against you if you're going to be a college guy. And again, a great learning experience week in and week out.
So do you think, like, if somebody were to want to join the EIBC League, what would you think would be, like, a key component to it or being a part of it? Like, what do you think a person would need to have that strength?
Well, I think when you look at the teams that are in the EIBC and the teams we had last year and going forward, the teams we'll have this year, you want to be able to grow your program. When you talk to the administrations of these teams that were there, it was all about like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to build on a program. Now, no matter how good the program is or how down the program is, by joining the EIBC, they enhance their reputation. So I think that's the bottom line. You want to get in the league from an administration perspective because you want your athletes to get better and you want to build your basketball program as well.
Wow, that is really inspirational, and I totally get what you mean. Like, I honestly think that's a really good, solid answer.
Thank you, Alonzi.
So, what player or types of player had made a really, really good impression on you? I mean,
well, there's a few of them. I mentioned Josiah Sanders earlier from Colorado Prep, from the Phoenix team. You like the work of Dennis Johnson. Again, in my background, I know the history of the other Dennis Johnson, who was a great player in the NBA and played at Pepperdine. But this is obviously a different Dennis Johnson. This one played a little bit differently. The original Dennis Johnson became a good offensive player, but was really known for his defensive skills. This DJ, 6'3" guard, can really shoot the ball. And I love shooters, and it was fun to watch Dennis Johnson play. I also liked Lyris Robinson, who was another player who could really knock down shots. He played for CIA. And again, in the championship game, he was hitting all their key jump shots. I like guys who can shoot the ball. That's why I like Lyris. That's why I like Dennis. So Lyris Robinson and Dennis Johnson are two names that come to my mind. Obviously, I talked about Mozilla, the big guy. And I wrote down a couple others. I mentioned King Grace before. He was very good as well. And another good player was Davion Atkins. He was an underclassman, played for Oak Cliff, 6'9", another very good defensive player, but in the mid-range game, could knock down shots from 15 feet and in, almost automatic. I mean, he didn't miss very many shots in the tournament. So Davion Atkins is another player that was a standout in the EIBC. Wow.
That is honestly a really touching answer, Roy. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Well, I'm here to try to help.
So I heard that you announced 3 Olympics for the NBC. What were those experiences like?
How much time do you have? They were great. They were great. 92 in Barcelona, Spain, I did indoor volleyball. 96 in Atlanta, Georgia, I did outdoor volleyball. 2004 in Athens, Greece, which was a great pleasure, I did the rowing, where the United States won the gold medal. And it was nice to have Bob Costas throw it to me and have the United States 8-man crew win the gold. They had not won that event in 40 years.
Wow.
When you look at my highlights, I go back to an indoor volleyball match with the United States and Japan. That was in Barcelona. It's one of the great matches in the history of the indoor game. The United States won it in 5 sets on the court, but there was a controversial play. I'm not going to go into that. Japan challenged it, and Japan won. So the match got overturned, and Japan ended up winning it, even though the U.S. won it on the floor. But calling 3 Olympic events is the greatest thing you could ask for. I mean, to do that when you want to become a broadcaster, to get to that level, to do it for the country's network and be part of that show 3 different times in the Summer Olympics was a lot of fun and great moments for me.
You called Wimbledon tennis on network radio as well, right?
I did. 1996, Steffi Graf won the women. Steffi's one of the great players of all times. She's fun to watch her play. She beat Sanchez Vicario in the championship. So that was good. And Richard Krajicek won the men's. Now, a lot of people don't remember Richard Krajicek, but he's a player that had great talent, but physically had injury issues throughout his career. But he was healthy that week, and he took down everyone, including the great Pete Sampras at the time. He beat him, I believe it was in the quarterfinals. But Krajicek went on to win it. I called him the executioner on the air because his serve was so devastating, but it was kind of a surprise, and nobody could touch Krajicek during the 2 weeks of Wimbledon back in '96. So I went from Atlanta and Wimbledon. So I went Wimbledon first, and from Wimbledon I went to Atlanta. So I got to announce Wimbledon and the Olympics back to back.
Oh, you did back to back. That's crazy.
It was a crazy summer indeed.
So it's also known that in basketball you worked with the legendary coach John Wooden at the UCLA telecast.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe because growing up as a kid, I watched UCLA basketball, and you looked up to Coach Wooden, and they won all these national championships. Then he retires, and then I hired to do these UCLA basketball games on, at the time it was called the USA Network, and later we did some stuff for ESPN. But then I looked to my right, and there's Coach Wooden. So that, to have that moment, and it's not like we were buddies, but I had a working relationship with him, and we got along very well. I'll give you one quick story. We would do our on cameras for the top of the show. Hello, everybody. I'm Randy. This is the coach. We would do that on the floor at Pauley Pavilion, but we'd announce the game upstairs. So we would tape our open downstairs. So, we'd tape, and then we'd have about 5-6 minutes to get upstairs, get into our location to call the game itself from way upstairs. Well, every time, all the people at UCLA, they converge on the coach, and they keep asking him for autographs. So I always had to be the bad guy, and I had to pull the coach. Coach, we got to get upstairs. We got to get to the elevator. So every time after we get like 3 or 4 in, maybe 5 autographs in, I'm yanking at the coach to get him upstairs. So that was an interesting sidebar to doing the games with Coach Wooden at Pauley Pavilion.
Wow, that must have been really, really shocking to you, especially since you looked up to him for a long time, and now you actually get to see him and know him. That's really crazy.
Yeah, when you have a mammoth personality like that, even though that wasn't who he was brilliant, somewhat quiet, but when he opened up, he was brilliant. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't one of these guys that took over the room unless you asked him to. But it was intriguing, and I did realize what I was into. I remember sitting up there telling myself, listen, he's the coach, he's the best, and just enjoy it. And that's why I remember telling myself, Randy, you got to enjoy this. These moments don't always come. You're not always going to work with a legend. And we got along, and I think I embraced it real well, and I think we had a good working relationship.
Wow, that's really, really nice. I'm so glad you had that moment, and it's really nice that you share it with all of us. That's really nice, and I'm pretty sure the audience might feel inspired by that, actually.
Well, Coach Wooden was an inspiring guy and a great coach. He won 10 national titles at UCLA, 7 in a row. That'll never be eclipsed. His numbers, his accomplishments, and his strength of character are number one.
Wow, that is really, really nice. I've also heard that you work with your former coaches, Jerry Tarkinen and Jim Harkick. Jim Harkick by your side on TV, huh?
Yeah, Jerry Tarkanian, the former Rebel coach, and obviously Jim Harrick, who's the last one after Wooden to win a national title at UCLA. Jerry Tarkanian was interesting because he built programs before he went to his last stop, Fresno State, at Long Beach State and UNLV, and he won a national title at UNLV as their head coach. And one of the games I did with Coach Tarkanian. I think I did 2. I did a lot more with Coach Wooden, but I did 2 with Coach Tarkanian. Was UNLV against Long Beach State. So he was in between jobs before he took the Fresno State job, and he's working with me, and we're calling the 2 programs that he built, Long Beach State, UNLV, and there's Tark by my side calling the game with me with the 2 programs that he established. That was pretty good stuff.
That sounds like really, really interesting stuff.
It was great.
So you are in the LA City Section Hall of Fame and in the SoCal Jewish Sports of HOF, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough, to call more championship games in the LA City section and do more games in the LA City section in all sports, not just football and basketball, but all sports. And in 2019, they recognized me, and I went into the Hall of Fame. And I went in with Eric Sondheimer of the LA Times. We were the 2 from the media. But there were some other people that were pretty well known. Vince Ferragamo, Jim Tunney, who was a great official in the NFL. So there's different classifications, different categories of individuals that went in that year. And I was in the 2019 class. The Jewish Hall of Fame was pretty cool, too, because that was back in 96 I was inducted. I was actually doing a game, and not a physical game, but a game that you would record. And it was for I don't know how to really explain it. It was an internet game. It was going to be a football game that you could play online. And I was doing this in Canada. I was in Calgary. So I had to fly back in 96 for the Hall of Fame. But that was great to be recognized. I am Jewish, so to get into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in Southern California is quite an honor. And there's some great people in that, going from Sandy Koufax to Mark Spitz. Just super outstanding people in that Hall of Fame. So to be part of that and to be recognized, here I am, a slow guy who was a poor football player at North Hollywood, getting in the Hall of Fame with guys who were really Hall of Fame players. I'm not in Sandy Koufax's level. I'm telling you that right now. That was pretty cool to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame is a really, really cool thing. Honestly, not everybody gets on there. A lot of really good people, really cool people get on there, and very inspiring people get on there. So that's a really, really nice thing for you.
Yeah, you got to be a little older too. So it's kind of like you're getting closer to the finish line than the start, because it takes, whenever you get in any kind of Hall of Fame, really, it takes time. It takes service. You don't get in the Hall of Fame overnight. So again, I did a lot of events, and that's why I was recognized by the SoCal Jewish Hall of Fame and the LA City Section Hall of Fame. That one wasn't a surprise to me, because I've done so many events and, like I said, so many championship games for that particular section, that governing body in Los Angeles. So to be recognized for all the work we did on the prep stuff was a lot of fun as well.
Wow, that is really, really nice to hear. So I was thinking, let's get into this next EIBC season. What do you think about Eli Gardner and from the Damien Spartans?
Well, Eli's a good player. Eli Gardner, Damien. He averaged, I think, 17 a game last year. He's going to be in our first showcase event. He's the one recognizable name that I see up top that I know. See, one thing that's good, and we're coming up on that event this week, is we're learning. There's a learning curve for us as well to see what the talent is. It's a new crop of players for the most part. So we'll be seeing these guys for the first time. Garner I've seen. I know how good he is. He can play. He can score. So I would say Damien in this showcase will probably show out and do pretty well. But there'll be some players I don't know anything about that I'll see for the first time that'll wow me. And that's what's great. It's the learning curve. It's our Denver from last year when I first witnessed Josiah Sanders. So we're going to get that when we go to Corona and do our first showcase event. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I'm kind of curious to see how AOSS does. They had some issues last year with players and stuff and retaining all the key guys and struggled. I think AOSS now playing at home, I think they'll probably improve and be a factor going forward. So we'll see how they do. But really, for me, the bottom line is who's going to be the great players that I don't know about right now that I'll see starting this week. That's going to be fun. And as we go through these showcases, and we're going to have a number of them, it'll be great to see these players develop and to witness their skills.
Yeah, that's going to be a really great journey for this season, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have a blast with that.
I hope so. And that's the reason I got into the industry. One thing about broadcasting and games and sports, it's fun. Sports is called the toy department for a reason. It's a way to get away from the rest of life, to get away from the problems, the issues that are in our country and around the world. We love sports. It's fun. And I wanted to be in a career that I could embrace and have fun. And calling sports, calling the EIBC and other events is fun. And what else would you want to do? It's great stuff on a weekend to call a game.
So I have this one very big question for you that I've been wanting to know is, when will the EIBC game start?
Well, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
as we're doing this, Saturday, I believe it's the 11th of October.
Yes.
So that's when it'll start. It'll be out at AOSS. And I've never been there. I've never seen the facility. First game tips at 9. Last game, I believe, is at 4. So it's a 9 to 5 grouping of games. We have 8 games initially. And it's going to be a long day, but a fun day. And so it's going to be a learning day, like I said, so we can find out who the key guys are and what teams will step up. But it'll be tomorrow. I hope I can find a parking spot because I've never been there. I'm sure I can. I hope I don't get lost because early in the morning, I'm going to have to leave the house about 6:15 to get to Corona. So, I hope we can find it. I hope to be on the air at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I think we will.
Sounds like a great plan. I hope all of that goes out so much well for you.
Alonzi, are you going to be there?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. If you see me there, say hi.
I will. I'll shake your hand.
That sounds really nice to know. So I've always wanted to know, like, with all these games that you've announced, how many games do you think you've announced so far? I mean, in your entire career.
Well, we'd need a calculator to probably figure it out. I've been doing it for a number of different decades. Let's just put it that way. It's in the thousands. Probably 2,000 to 3,000 games.
Wow.
And I've done like 30 to 32 different sports. Water polo, barrel. I'm doing some of we all know football, basketball.
Yeah.
Baseball. We all did that. Golf. I've done all the, tennis, volleyball, but I've done some kind of out of the box events, like I said, barrel racing in Texas on television, jiu-jitsu tournament. I did bowling. I could go on. I mean, baton twirling. Interesting.
Wow. I didn't even know that was one.
I'm going to give you a quick, interesting story. I actually did baton twirling twice.
What?
I did it in the Junior Olympics, and I had never met my wife's sister and brother-in-law, but they're close to where the venue was. It was in Tennessee. So we're in Tennessee, and I do this, and they're meeting me for the first time. So we drive after I do the baton twirling to their house. They're about an hour from where the location was. And I meet them and they go, "Randy, we hear you're a broadcaster." I go, "Yeah, I'm a baton twirling announcer." So they go, "I beg your pardon?" They said, "I thought Catherine said you were a play-by-play broadcaster." "Yeah, I only work baton twirling." So there's a time there, I had them fooled where they actually believed the only thing I announced was baton twirling. But I told them,
wow. They must have really underestimated you.
Pull a fast one over and pull the wool over their eyes. I like to have fun, like I said.
Would you do baton twirling again?
I did baton twirling twice. I did it in Washington. Let's see, that was in D.C. on a network, a regional TV network there. And then I did the Junior Olympics baton twirling. And then I believe it was like 120 teams. I was on the air for 4 hours doing baton twirling. And I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I will. Then they wanted me to scoot down. We had cameras in different parts of the building, and they wanted me to do wrestling. All I had to do was go out 100 yards. It was in the building, so we slid down to do it. So we did the TV, and I'm 3.5 hours in, and I get up, and the producer goes, "Randy, you got to go to wrestling." I go, "I can't go." I go, "I got to go to the bathroom. I've been sitting down here for 3.5 hours." And they go, "Randy, you got to go." And I go, "I got to go to the bathroom." So I go, instead of arguing, "Let me go to the bathroom." So I went to the bathroom, Then I went and did it. But it didn't take that long to do what I had to do. But I mean, it was so back to back. I had to fight for the right to go to the restroom. Little sidebar there for you.
That is a really interesting story. And Randy, I had a really, really great time talking to you about these things. Honestly, the EIBC League sounds like an amazing thing, and I'm so pumped for the next season that starts right tomorrow. Honestly, everything I've asked you, I think you've answered almost all my questions. I mean, I really love everything, how you responded, how thoughtful you were of it, and I'm so glad to see you next time.
Well, Alonzi, it was nice meeting you via the Zoom. I guess we could call it a Zoom interview. And then I hope to meet you in person.
I hope so too.
Yeah, and I think you'll enjoy the games. And I'm working with Darren Preston tomorrow, and Darren was part of the league, and I know he's going to be on one of these shows as well. So we're excited. We think we're going to bring a nice product, and it should be a lot of fun. And it's going to be a great 25-26 season in the EIBC.
Well, thank you so much for joining us at the EIBC Soundboard. We will definitely have you back throughout the season. Can't wait to see your work throughout the season. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on a live stream on the EIBCLeague.com website.
Thank you.